Welcome to our Swift Epiphanies.
I'm Tanya.
And I'm Emery.
We're a mother and daughter with an admiration
And a little obsession
for Taylor Swift.
In this podcast, we let you in on our discussions of Taylor's artistry,
her genius,
and her poetry.
Her music evokes powerful emotions
and has led to epiphanies both personal and universal.
Come along and join our deep conversations as we share our Swift epiphanies. This is episode 2, and we've decided to do something a little different than what we had planned. Our original plan for putting out full podcasts was to release one every other week. But with the release of Midnights, we decided to add this special episode as episode number 2. There's so much to unpack in what she's already done. And we're looking forward to the actual music and the lyrics and the poetry and everything to come out, that we wanted to talk about those pre-thoughts that we have and impressions and predictions and ideas that we have for this new album coming out. In watching some of the marketing unfold and some of the announcements and excitement, I have been so excited because it feels very 70s, and I lived in the 70s and I remember the 70s. So I am going to totally love today's conversation.
Me too.
And here's why. The whole vibe of everything so far is a mood ring. It's a mood ring.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
All of those colors that kind of like flow into each other and change. You know what I mean? Like this is a mood ring. And I'm so excited about it because I was born in 1973. And all the vibes that she's giving us are accurate and real, and I'm so excited because I've been there.
Yeah.
So mood ring is my nutshell.
Thing is blowing my mind because I've been thinking about how this album is going to be such a conglomeration of her life. It's all of her eras in one album because it's sleepless nights throughout her life. And so I have just been thinking about how we're going to get so many different types of songs, sounds of songs, lyric wise. It's going to be very eclectic across the board. And I think eclectic is very 70s and it's very just her, but we're getting it all in this one album. And that's what makes me so excited. It's going to be all of her in a very, I feel like, refined, deep, personal mood. Oh, man, a mood ring. You're a genius.
Thank you.
That's really cool.
I don't know how to put all my thoughts together today because they are pinging everywhere. I have the like most multicolored mood ring on right now that I could even explain. I've never watched one of her releases this closely. One of the things we like to do is experience her music for ourselves. We don't want to go into it with a lot of preconceived notions, what other people think we should be getting out of it. We want to go into her music and her releases kind of blindly. So with this one, I am like devouring every single piece. I feel like there's so much more for me to see and to piece together before the release. But I wonder if it's because there's so many more platforms now. Like there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's so much more. So it's kind of in my face more. And I can't avoid it because there are algorithms that know that I love Taylor Swift. Like every algorithm that is tied to me has a piece of her in it. I'm so very excited because of all of these things that she's giving us beforehand. I love it. Yeah. And because like in my case, I lived the 70s and she's doing it very well. Her clothing, her hairstyles, her surroundings, the furniture she uses, the props, it's the sounds. It's even that bingo game. Like games were so huge in the 70s. It's her makeup, the textiles in her videos, the curtains, the marriages of different patterns that are very, very retro 70s. And then the video quality. It's got those black speckles and you're like, this is so authentic. But how can she do that throwback to the 70s, but make it look authentic in addition to making it feel fresh and new and current?
Yeah.
I don't know how she does it all. Maybe I'll pull up some pictures to put on our social media of the 70s that I knew and lived in. And Hopefully I can find some stuff that will be like, see how real this is. When I started thinking about it in reference to a mood ring was when I was looking at all four of her vinyls and the way that she is kind of categorizing them in a color scheme. I mean, we have the moonstone, the jade green, the blood moon, and the mahogany. And then her deluxe editions are lavender. Lavender doesn't fit with those colors unless it's that fluid, kind of fun 70s mood ring.
Yeah. I think adding the lavender in does make it just different enough that they can represent those moods, that it's not necessarily a color scheme that fits together perfectly. And I just think Taylor has a fascination with colors and she uses colors so beautifully. I feel like every color she has is a metaphor in her lyrics, but also she categorizes her albums into colors. We see that with the bejeweled bracelet in the merch, which is a whole conversation,
Let's talk
but
about that bejeweled bracelet. First of all, it's super pretty. I
oh
really
my
love
gosh, it's
it.
gorgeous.
So, what are your thoughts on the bejeweled bracelet?
And one thing to point out, the bracelet on the website was originally just called the Taylor Swift jeweled bracelet, but it got renamed
It
on their
did.
website to the Taylor Swift bejeweled bracelet.
When did that happen?
I do not know when the switch happened, but on the Taylor Swift merch website, it is now called Taylor Swift Bejeweled Bracelet,
What was it called
which
before?
just Taylor Swift Jeweled Bracelet.
Taylor Swift jeweled bracelet. Now it's,
Taylor Swift Bejeweled Bracelet.
I just wonder if they had to get permission to use the word bejeweled.
It's possible.
I mean, here's an example of where we start finding Easter eggs that we don't know if they're there or not.
Yeah.
Because there could be a legal team changing something, and the whole Swift Nation is like,
Every Swift is losing their mind over
right?
this bracelet and what
Which
they've
is,
titled it, but it
yeah,
could just be a legal thing. You're right.
yeah. I don't know.
There's a million thoughts going through my mind. I found myself in a very deep rabbit hole of TikTok theories last night on this bracelet. It's really the first time I've thought about it. Like, I looked on her store a couple weeks ago and I thought, hey, that's a gorgeous bracelet and it's really cool that it's all of her albums. But this is kind of cool to look into prior to understanding it fully because I do have my own theories now.
So, did you make the connection of this is her 10th album, but there are 12 jewels? Did you look at that and see anything weird, or did you automatically like have an explanation for it?
My surface level thoughts are that yes, this is TS10, but it is also her 12th album. I feel like with the release of the Vault songs, Red Taylor's version and Fearless Taylor's version qualify as their own albums and qualify to make the full 12. It's the clock, it's the midnight. I would not be surprised if there is more to those two extra gems, but I also would not be surprised if that's what they are, is just her recognizing that these two are special, unique albums that are separate from the stolen versions.
That's kind of where I've come to after falling down those rabbit holes.
I've seen all the theories about us getting 3 albums from her. However, I think if we're assuming that the blue gem is Midnight's and that's coming out October 21st, some people have thought that the other two are going to be released in November and December, but that would mess up the order of the gems on the bracelet, and I don't think Taylor would do that.
That would
Like,
mess me up.
that would mess me up so bad. And so I don't believe that we're getting 3 albums.
Yeah, that would mess up my internal clock.
But
It
I
would.
do believe that we are preparing for TS13.
13 is such a big deal.
I know.
It's gonna be a big deal.
I know. And that's why I think this is all happening. I think this whole big, we're at the end of the night, it's midnight, it's when the clock starts over. I think this is big. I think that it's a production for her. It's all these signs, it's these little details that she's been preparing for heaven knows how long, for this album to be the end of something and the beginning of something else.
To like totally close that ring and be
Complete a
like,
circle and bring out something entirely new. And so I don't think that she would say this is TS10 and then include 12 albums on her bracelet if she
yeah,
wasn't preparing for a big 13. If it was really TS10, which I believe it is in some respects, then I think it wouldn't be a big deal that we were focusing on the 12. But we're focusing on 12 hours, 12 gems. I just think that we're preparing for something big. She's closed her bracelet with 12 albums and now we're starting something new, and that's really exciting for me. I'm excited about Midnights, entirely giddy about Midnights, but I'm equally as excited for what comes next.
do you think that the sound will fit in the 70s?
I think it's going to vary. Again, I think this is going to be a very eclectic conglomeration of sounds and vibes. And I just think that we're going to get different sounds. I don't think it's all going to fit into the 70s sound that we might be expecting. I think it's going to be across the board.
So I started thinking about this and I thought of 1989. I was there too. I was there in 1989 and I knew the vibe and I knew the feel. And so I'm starting to look at Midnights very much like that. She's giving it this 70s vibe, but it's not going to be pure 70s, just like 1989 was. All of her merchandising, all of her color scheme, all of that was so 1989. But if you listen to her music, you don't feel like you're back in 1989. But for some reason, somehow it still connects them and you feel elements of 1989 within her album. She's somehow made 1989 something very different than when I was there, but also the exact same. And I don't know how she does that. I kind of wonder if that's how she's going to be with Midnights, because this isn't just a few things. This has been her whole campaign, I guess, if you could call it a campaign.
Looking through the track list for 1989 right now, I'm hearing the songs and I can kind of see where they come from in terms of fitting into the 1989 theme. And I think that's fair to say about Midnights as well, that it's not going to be directly or fully connected to the 70s, but very possibly influenced by it.
We don't have a ton of information, but what information we do have is kind of fun. One of the things we know for sure is the track list. We have the track list, we have the name of every single track, plus we have 3 bonus tracks. We have a new song that's not on the track list called Hits Different, and then 2 remixes, one string remix of You're on Your Own Kid and a piano remix of Sweet Nothing. So what are your thoughts on this track list? What are you looking forward to? What do you anticipate? What are you thinking?
My initial thought is how clever these names are. I mean, I've always loved how Taylor titles her songs, but this album specifically, something about this album for me feels ethereal. Like it's greater than, higher than, it's somewhere in this. Haze is the word that I think of, not only because of the song title, but just it feels like these songs are existing in a sort of beautiful, unearthly fog that just, they feel like they don't touch the ground.
Oh, here we go.
Pretty
Ethereal
sure
means extremely delicate and light in a way that seems too perfect for this world.
I love these song titles because they already evoke so much. And I've seen so many, TikToks and reels of people predicting what each song is about, or what the vibe of each song is going to be. And I have my own predictions and we'll talk about those. But I think despite all predictions, these songs feel like they aren't grounded. They exist in another plane. Don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense, but which is really strange because then there's this contradiction of we know this is going back to autobiographical. Like these are real experiences. But I think in the middle of the night, in those dark hours, those lines between reality and fantasy or even nightmare, they totally blur. And maybe
Yeah,
that's where we are with this one.
that's a good way to put it. And often when you're awake in the middle of the night, you don't feel grounded.
Mm-mm.
You don't feel real. And she talks about that when she talks about Antihero, about not feeling human.
And in those hours, in that like halfway between awake and asleep, things are either a lot bigger than they are in reality, or they're not as big. We're just in that hazy place. And that's the thing. This whole haze can be a beautiful lavender haze, or it can be a hazy, confusing place. So
Hmm.
I just feel like a lot of these titles evoke that kind of like, where's the reality? Where's the dream? Where's the nightmare? Where does all of
Yeah.
that converge together?
In this album, that's where it converges.
It all converges at
So
midnight on the
let's talk about
21st.
these songs. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Let's talk about these songs. I want to start with Lavender Haze,
Hmm.
which I'm just going to put it out there right now. I think this is going to be my favorite. I think I'm going to be absolutely obsessed with it. Right off the bat, when she explained Lavender Haze as a phrase commonly used in the 50s, it piqued my interest because one, I love the 50s, but I also really love quirky phrases like that. It's a sweet and innocent phrase to be in a lavender haze with someone you love. But my prediction is that the music of it is going to be kind of that light 50s toned music, but that the lyrics are going to have an underlying desperation to them, almost paranoia. And that comes from when she said that theoretically you would do anything to stay in that love phase. And I think she does this beautifully in other songs where she has this light tone in the music, but the lyrics are deeper or can be taken as very serious and introspective. And I have a hunch that that's what this song is going to be, that it's going to sound light and fun and beautiful, but these lyrics are going to have a hungry need to hold on to a love that's put under so much pressure by society. And I hope we get at least one or two savage lines about how it affects her personally. I'm hoping there's a little bit of that kick of please just leave us alone and let us be in this lavender haze together. But
I love all of that.
this is one that I'm just really excited to hear for the
Yeah.
first time.
Okay. So there's maroon. And do you feel like it's the color, or do you think it's the state of being marooned?
I have thought about both, but I think that it has more to do with the color because of all of the color theory going on. And this is another one that I feel like I have a prediction on, sort of, or at least
Okay.
I'm hoping it's right. If not, then I really thought deeply about something that isn't as deep as it is. But I saw one theory about the purple gem in the bejeweled bracelet and how it's Speak Now, but it's not the bright purple that everyone like wanted the dress to be. I was thinking about that and it got me thinking about how maroon is kind of a transition between that purple and the red. So from Speak Now to red. And then I kind of pivoted my thoughts. I think that maroon is about the healing that comes from closure. The red era
Mm.
was mostly focused around All Too Well and her experience with that song. Because again, Taylor's really good at this color theory and metaphors and things. The Red album symbolizes fresh wounds, bright red blood. But maroon is the color of a healing scar. And I think, at least I think this would be really beautiful. Taylor has talked about how her fans have changed her experience with the songs from Red, and especially the song All Too Well, and how she has now come to enjoy singing that song for her fans because it doesn't open up those old wounds anymore. She doesn't feel the same hurt that she used to when she sang that song. I think it would be beautiful if Maroon was associated with this feeling of scars that are healing, that are no longer painful to the touch, kind of daylight where she
Mhm.
kind of turns red into golden.
Well, I was
But
thinking that, like, if you put a little bit of golden into red, it turns a little bit more maroon.
mhm.
And of course, I'm thinking this way because this is how I see this album is in a mood ring. Looking up what the colors of mood rings mean in the maroon area is fear and nervous. So that's where maroon sits in on a mood ring.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on maroon? Because you brought up being marooned.
But I don't. Maroon is such a vague title that I haven't formed an opinion on it. She does talk about colors all the time, and it's not a stretch for her to talk about how a color conveys an emotion. So if
Yeah,
if that's the case, if maroon is the color that is conveying an emotion, I would guess that it would be in the fear or anxiety realm. But that's about as far as I've gotten with what I feel maroon is about.
well, that's fair. I mean, we don't have much to go on. We have
We
the
have a
title.
word.
So,
Yep.
I'm just interested to see because all of these titles could mean a million different things,
Mhm.
and there's only a couple that we have insight on.
Track 3, we have a little insight on Antihero.
Yeah.
It's about her insecurities. It's about her life, which she says is unimaginably sized. I think this is the one I am most excited to hear, just because it's the one she says could be her favorite that she's ever written. So I think about Mirror Ball a little bit when I think of this one, because for a couple of reasons. One, sometimes she'll have the titles of these songs, and I'm like, how in the world do you make that lyrically beautiful? Like the word mirror ball and have the whole visual of what that means and the whole metaphor. Who would make that work? And of course, it's Taylor Swift.
Of
So
course.
I look at the word anti-hero and I'm like, this is a word or a phrase that nobody else could do anything with that Taylor will make beautiful and wonderful, and it'll make sense, and the music and the lyrics and everything will just go together perfectly layered in there. Because I know Mirror Ball is autobiographical. So I wonder about that, if there will be parallels between Mirror Ball and Antihero. She has that song Nothing New, and I think that started to show us a little bit into her personal feelings and opinions about fame and her life being huge. And so I've wondered if the Mirror Ball and then Nothing New, at least having elements of those within it to show us that she's human. And although her life has gotten so huge, sometimes she feels in control of that, and probably sometimes she does not. I'm excited for that one. I
Mhm.
think that's the one I'm most excited for. Snow on the Beach. I love
Snow
that
on the
title.
Beach featuring Lana Del Rey.
I'm
I feel
excited.
like this one's going to be a bop. It just evokes fun for me. And that idea that she shares that it's you falling in love with someone at the same time as they're falling in love with you.
How do you think they're gonna collaborate? Do you think it'll be a duet? Do you think it'll just be like background? How do you think that Lana Del Rey is gonna come into this?
I would like to see Lana have her own verse, like Taylor have a verse and Lana have a verse, and then duet for
Kind of like
sure.
Nothing New.
Yeah, a little bit.
So excited to have these two together.
Me too. Yeah.
All right. You're on your own, kid.
You're on your own, kid. There's a lot to unpack with this one.
Really? Because I'm over here going, I got nothing. I have
Well,
absolutely nothing.
see, I'm in the same boat, but I say there's a lot to unpack because this song title feels very out of place.
But she doesn't do anything out of place.
I know. That's what intrigues me about it. That's one of the reasons I say there's a lot to unpack because I've been trying to think of how this would fit and how it meshes, and I don't have any solid predictions. I
Mhm.
have like the little inklings that run around in my head. I will simply leave it at I think this is going to be one that leans into the 70s
That's
vibe.
interesting. Because the
Yeah.
phrasing, it could sit in the 70s. It fits there. It's interesting phrasing. It's an interesting title. I don't even know what
Yeah.
to say about this one.
I don't know what to say either. Yeah.
So, Midnight Rain's next. I know I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with Midnight Rain unless something bad is going to happen. And then there's everything wrong with Midnight Rain.
Exactly.
So, it could go either way.
I
Mhm.
feel like Taylor uses rain as a symbol of a dramatic romantic experience, whether that be falling in love or experiencing a heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
It's some dramatic love life event. And midnight is a sleepless kind of night. This is another one that I haven't thought too far into, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm intrigued to find out where these two words meet. And I'm curious to see which way it goes.
Could go either way.
Yeah.
It could go either
Ooh,
way for sure.
I will love it regardless.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Question.
Question. Yeah.
That's it.
Maybe she doesn't know what the question is yet. She
Mm-hmm.
just knows that there's something that she doesn't know that she needs to, or something that isn't resolved that needs to be, or someone that she doesn't understand that she needs to understand.
So is it a question posed to an opposite party, like a lover, a romantic interest? Is it a question posed to someone else, or is it a question posed to herself? Like, is this right? Am I doing the right thing? What the heck am I doing? Here's all the questions. What do you think? Maybe this one's questioning herself.
I think it's questioning a second party, but again, it could go either way. But I think I would like it to be that sort of unknown when you're dealing with relationships, platonic, familial, romantic, no matter what the relationship is, sometimes there's this awkward stage of dot 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 question mark of just not knowing. And I would love a song about that because I feel like she would write it so beautifully.
Yeah. Again, it could go any which way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, not much to go off.
Right. So what do you think about Vigilante?
I think Vigilante is wild.
You think?
This song title to me is chaotic in the best type of way. It is so her to use this word, to use vigilante in a song,
I know.
a Taylor Swift song.
I know. This one blows my mind too, of like, how is she going to make a song out of the word vigilante?
But then when it comes out of her mouth, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I understand, at least in part, where she would get that from. That's not a word that seems out of her vocabulary. That seems like something that just rolls off of her tongue.
If I were to just guess of how she is going to use it, I think it's going to be somebody, in fact, probably herself, who is just mitigating the damages of the wake that's left of somebody's stupidity. And
I think of Batman and the Arrow, who are both vigilantes who in a lot of ways are just these brooding men who think they know what's good for the city, and they go through back doors to get it done because they think they're all that and the rules don't apply to them. So in some ways I think that could be it, but I also wouldn't be surprised if you're right that she's that vigilante cleaning up other people's messes.
I mean, we look at some vigilantes as heroes and some vigilantes as the villains, really.
Yeah.
And how do we know which way's which?
I think vigilante and antihero are really cool, and I love that they're both in this album because they're both, to me at least, in the morally gray category of people either doing good things with jaded motives or doing muddy things with good motives. It's kind of that internal confusion of am I good or am I bad? And
one weird thing that keeps going through my head is Ed Sheeran's Bad Habits video.
Yeah.
Like as the villain or vigilante flying around. I love that video. Anyway, just a silly side note.
That's a good
Her
callback.
friend Ed Sheeran being vigilante or villain. I don't know what he was in that video, but it was a pretty cool video. Anyway.
Very true.
We've got Bejeweled.
I do think this bracelet has led me to my predictions on what the song Bejeweled is about. I think it's very autobiographical about Taylor Swift and her accolades. This bracelet is all of her albums together, and to me, it symbolizes her success, the things she's accomplished in her life. And I think this song could be about those successes, about feeling bejeweled by the world and the things that she's been able to accomplish.
But let's not forget, these are songs she's written at midnight or thereabouts. So, like, how does
True.
that fall into it? Maybe it's just that some nights she realizes she is getting what she wanted, that she is in a space where maybe even further than she believes she could go. I mean, I remember a really, really early interview of her saying, all I want to do is be on a stage and hear thousands of people singing my songs with me. I mean, she's past that.
Mhm.
She's checked off that box and moved on. And she's been a lot more than that.
And I don't know. Again, these are all just musings of maybes, but I think Bejeweled is going to be a deep song, something that goes deeper than eye level.
All right. Labyrinth. I
Labyrinth.
love this word. The word labyrinth is beautiful because it goes into that magical, ethereal place we were talking about. It could be like in relationships, it could be the labyrinth of a life path, it could be a labyrinth of expectation. Everything in life could be a labyrinth. So,
Mhm.
again, it's another song where I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to wait.
When I hear the word labyrinth, I think of Greek mythology. And so in my mind, I'm thinking of the labyrinth with changing walls and monsters and challenges and secret passages and getting lost in it and losing track of time. And that to me sounds like a sleepless night. This song title speaks midnight most. That's the imagery that comes to mind for me.
Well, she has used like Alice in Wonderland references before. I can see the name Labyrinth going in that kind of direction too.
I'm hoping that one's as deep as I just made it out
Mhm.
to be.
Okay, here we come to already a super iconic song because this has been talked about the most.
I
Karma.
think so. I
Karma.
have not gone into the karma rabbit hole because
Don't
I
go.
know that
Don't
I
do it.
will get lost in that rabbit
I'm
hole.
proud of you. Do not do not even begin the karma rabbit hole because you'll never get out. It's such
so
a
so
deep
I want to
hole.
hear I want to hear your predictions on this song, your thoughts on it.
I don't know. This is one of the reasons I don't go out looking for predictions because already it has just messed with me with what karma could mean or what it could be tied to or what it could include. Like, I'm already messed with. Like, maybe that's karma. Like, I'm just so messed with. Maybe the karma about going down the karma rabbit hole is that you are messed with because that's how I feel. I'm like, you guys, come on, Swifties, you have messed me up with this karma rabbit hole. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Well, you have to. I want to know.
I know there's so many theories and so many ideas that I don't know which way my opinion goes. All I know for sure is that karma was written on the wall in The Man.
Mhm.
And I did see an interview of her being like, how far in advance can you leave an Easter egg? I don't know. I know there's an Easter egg with this, but I don't know what that consists of. And I don't have an opinion on if there's a secret album. I don't know. And if there
Mm.
is another full secret album, there's probably 5.
Oh, for sure.
With the thought that she has had these songs throughout her career written at midnight, it would be a no-brainer that she could have had it written back before The Man.
For
And that
sure.
she had that in her mind, like, someday I'm going to release this. So
Mhm.
here's the name of one of my songs. So
Mhm.
to me, it's not like this big mystical karma is going to be like this whole new era. I don't know. Those are my very scattered thoughts on karma, which like wrap up into absolutely nothing solid. Nothing. I got nothing for you.
Yeah. I think going with the ethereal vibe of this album, it could be good karma. I think that would be a really cool flip to put on this. Again, just hypotheses, but she's possibly moving on from clapping back and into just doing what she wants and creating that good karma for herself. Let me process that we've
Yeah.
given up on the bad karma and we're moving into the good karma.
Okay. Sweet nothing.
Sweet nothing. This is another one that I haven't thought much on, but Sweet Nothing, to me, it leans savage.
What? It's
Because,
totally different for
okay,
me. Tell me why.
no, so Sweet Nothings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet Nothings is a
Mm-hmm.
phrase of like cute
Yeah.
infatuation. You're
When you're
whispering
whispering
these
sweet nothings
things,
in my
sweet
ear.
nothings to each other.
Mm-hmm.
She
Mm-hmm.
wrote Sweet Nothing. Sweet Nothing.
Oh,
I think,
why do you do that to me?
I'm sorry.
I'm like, oh,
I think it's very intentional that it's Sweet Nothing and not Sweet Nothings. This is heartbreak. It's Sweet Nothing.
I can't wait till you're wrong because I was thinking of sweet nothings.
I hope I'm wrong.
I don't hope you're wrong. I'm excited to find out what
Yeah,
it's about. Because of all of them, I think this title is the most intriguing to me. I'm really, really curious about Sweet Nothing.
yeah, me too. Yeah, to me, it sounds like empty promises.
This is going to be an interesting
Yeah,
one. All right. Track 13, final track on the regular album is Mastermind.
mastermind.
Do you know the first thing I thought of when I heard the title Mastermind?
What?
I lived in your chess game and you changed the rules
Mm,
every day. That's where my brain went. Very first thing when I heard Mastermind.
I think it would be really cool if this was a song about a shift from somebody else being a mastermind to her being the
Mm,
mastermind. She's got a lot of lyrics about other people controlling the game and
mhm.
changing the rules. And if this is her saying not anymore.
Then we have a couple of bonus tracks, which I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear the string remix because like we said, we don't know, you're on your own, kid, like what the vibe is going to be of that. But hearing that there's a strings mix, I don't know. That makes it feel a little more like a softer, quieter ballad to me, slower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then a piano remix of Sweet Nothing. That doesn't give us any clues.
No, not really.
But then the other track, the other bonus is Hits Different.
It's
What
different.
hits different? What is it that hits different?
That's what I desperately want to know.
I do too. I have no
It's
idea.
different.
What hits different and how does it hit? How did it hit before?
Yeah.
How does it hit now? What is it?
Maybe that one's about All Too Well, how that song hits different now for her.
Oh, that could
Who
be
knows?
like you were talking earlier about Maroon.
I
That
don't know.
maybe that these songs that she has performed with her fans hit different because
They're not
there's
about the breakup anymore. They're about the music
and
and
they're
her
about the
fans
memories and the
and yeah.
fans.
So
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know. There's a
oh it.
million things that could hit different.
Mm-hmm. Or the fame could hit different, or her joy in different things could hit different. The love that she has hits different. I don't know. There could be, this is another one that it's wide open,
It's wide open.
wide open.
Yeah, there they are. 13 tracks and the bonuses. Going through this just makes me infinitely more excited than I was before to hear
Mhm.
these songs and to know if we're right, if we're wrong. I'm hungry for the lyrics because I just know they're going to be soul wrenching. She does such a beautiful job. And I
Mhm.
already know with everything that has gone into this album, it's going to be powerful.
I'm so excited. I'm going to be up
Yeah,
all night.
man.
Who wants to sleep when there's new Taylor Swift out there?
No one, no one wants to sleep. Normally, we plan on posting every other week. And so next week will be a regularly scheduled episode, and it's going to be our reactions to the Midnight's album. It'll be our first impressions, the results of our predictions, whether correct or incorrect, our overall thoughts, and which ones are our favorite, and all of those good things. We'll find out if I'm right, if mom's right, if both of us are wrong, and what other Easter eggs we have missed along the way.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there will be many.
So in the meantime, share with us in the comments what your predictions are for the album and what you're most excited about.
Thank you for coming along with us today. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of our Swift Epiphanies.
Follow us on social media at Our Swift Epiphanies for behind the scenes and bonus content, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive video content.
Get in on the conversation by commenting or messaging us with your Swift Epiphanies.